the luminous threshold of compassion, preserving intention in a time-bound world. When one hesitates in carrying out a virtuous act, what is the path to inner preservation and the means of success? A timely question, one that calls for sober, realistic, and inwardly attentive reflection. To begin with, it must be recognized that in today's world, marked by self-centered ambition, psychological manipulation, and the fragmentation of both personal and collective life, even the emergence of a sincere desire to assist another human being is itself a rare and subtle gift. When such a desire crystallizes into a clear intention or firm inner resolve, it does not arise accidentally. Rather, it signals a moment of inner alignment, a brief opening in which the heart becomes receptive to higher prompting. The Prophet, peace be upon him, explained this inner process with remarkable precision. When a person is presented with an opportunity to perform a virtuous act, especially one involving generosity, sacrifice, or moral courage, God commands an angel to touch the person's heart. Through this angelic touch, a softness enters the heart, awakening a deep inclination toward the deed itself. If the person responds while that softness remains, they will witness, directly and unmistakably, the quiet joy that accompanies sincerity, and they will taste the subtle radiance that flows from aligned action. However, if hesitation intervenes and the reasoning faculty begins to entertain doubt, fear, or rationalization, returning to that original state of clarity becomes increasingly difficult. What was once luminous grows distant. What was once simple becomes entangled. This dynamic is not abstract. It unfolds repeatedly within the ordinary circumstances of modern life. A person may be fully engaged in their professional responsibilities, at work, under deadlines, accountable to others, when an impulse of compassion arises, sometimes unexpectedly, and at other times as the answer to a long-held prayer or inward yearning to be of benefit. In either case, the heart softens and intention forms. Yet immediate action may be impossible. Stepping away could jeopardize employment, violate obligations, or create serious consequences within a structured, time-sensitive environment. In such moments, the appropriate response does not lie in reckless interruption, nor does it lie in suppressing the impulse. Rather, it lies in an immediate inner consent, acknowledging the call of compassion at once, while allowing action to follow at the proper time. The heart must consent immediately, even if the hands cannot yet act. This may take the form of setting a reminder, making a firm plan, earmarking resources, or committing inwardly to act at the first opportunity. In this way, the original clarity is protected rather than allowed to erode. At times, the prompting takes an even more defined form. A person may have carried a vague concern for humanitarian service or social good, without direction, method, or blueprint. Then, quite suddenly, a clear inner outline appears, a plan, an approach, a concrete path forward. Such clarity does not demand instant execution, but it does require recognition. The individual is then given a unique opportunity, not by action alone, but by attention, whether the insight is received, recorded, and confirmed, or quietly dismissed. A similar pattern appears in time-critical situations. A person may be on the way to the airport, heading toward a medical appointment, or bound by schedules that cannot be postponed without loss or harm. In that narrow window, compassion may still arise, sometimes as a fresh insight, and sometimes as a renewed illumination of an idea previously suggested by another person, but left unattended. The idea returns with greater clarity and insistence, as though asking to be acknowledged. Here again, the principle remains intact. What must be immediate is not always execution, but inner affirmation. When the heart responds decisively, without negotiation or dismissal, the impulse is anchored rather than lost. This anchoring may be as simple as making notes, outlining thoughts on a device, or consciously resolving to return to the idea at a designated time. Delay becomes destructive only when it turns into avoidance, forgetfulness, or self-justification. Earlier generations expressed this same truth through the language of spiritual instruction. One account relates that a teacher, when asked why they responded instantly to a sudden call for compassion, despite being engaged in another matter, offered the following explanation. In that moment, a wave of divine mercy passed through my heart. I feared that even a brief delay would allow hesitation to take root and distort the intention. When compassion arrives, whether sought through longing or arriving without warning, it must be honored immediately. If it is postponed without care, it rarely returns with the same purity. They then added a striking metaphor. Every whisper of doubt is like dust settling on a mirror, imperceptible at first, yet gradually dulling the surface. If the mirror is not protected, its clarity is lost, and once the heart's clarity is obscured, the person becomes disconnected from the very act they were inwardly prepared to fulfill. Thus, the path to success lies neither in impulsive disruption nor in calculated delay, but in faithful preservation of intention. When the heart is softened and the inner resolve is clear, it must be honored, either through immediate action or through a conscious commitment that safeguards it until action becomes possible. For moments of compassion arrive in many forms, as sudden gifts, as answers to longing, as emerging clarity, or as returning reminders. If they are dismissed, they fade. If they are preserved, they mature into meaningful deeds. This insight prepares the ground for what follows in the next chapters, where intention is examined not merely as a momentary impulse, but as a formative force. One that, when preserved through awareness and responsibility, gradually reshapes the moral and spiritual architecture of the human being.